Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome to the Ambassador Wing and another installment of Afternoons with them. And today, we are going to be continuing our review of Zack Snyder's Justice League. And decided to go live this afternoon because, well, there is such a thing as a time difference, and I wanted to give a few other voices from around the world and across the pond and every place in between a chance to voice their thoughts on the Justice League. And once again, we have got Luke from Any World But Ours, and we are expecting a few more fellas to pop in here. So to those in the chat, welcome. Glad you are all here today, as always. And just a quick shout out to the chat. Big Daddy-O John Bamford. John, good to see you. John, I did send you that link, so if you want to join us, you know what to do, my friend. So, Luke, good to have you back, man. As always.
Thank you for the invitation once again. Yeah, I didn't expect to be on again so soon, but we'll take it.
hey, when you're talking nerd stuff and you're talking Justice League, you can never have too many voices. Truly,
nope, that's very true.
And
very true.
As always, folks, those of you in the chat, make sure you smash the ever-loving heck out of that like button. Smash that thing like Superman smashed Steppenwolf in the face repeatedly.
Yeah.
So, and quick shout out to the chat, Mountains of Elysium. Elysium, good to see you, bud, and glad to have you here as always, my friend. So, but yeah, we now live in a world where Zack Snyder's Justice League has been out for a week because it was 1 week today that it went worldwide. Well, almost worldwide. So, and I said it Saturday. I've said it several other times. It's nothing but a masterpiece. So, but this isn't me. This isn't just about me. Luke, your thoughts. What did you think of Zack Snyder's Justice League?
We spoke about it briefly last time I was here, didn't I? Oh, sorry, not Snyder Cut directly, but how I really kind of fell off the bandwagon with DC in terms of there's not been as much. We were saying about there's not been as much direction and stuff like that, wasn't we? And when you compare it to Marvel, but after watching this, I have to say it has got me fully invested in DC again. It's made me want them to pursue that. Yes. Like you say, it was a masterpiece. It just makes sense for them to pursue that. Since I've watched that I think I finished it on Sunday. No, I watched it all on Sunday. It took me. It's obviously 4 hours long. It maybe took me about 6 hours to watch because I paused it in between, where they had the parts, just have a little break and stuff like that. But I really enjoyed it. Like I say, it's really got me heavily invested with DC again. So since then, I've subscribed to 4 different comic series or something along those lines, just to try and kind of get back into it. I really enjoyed it, and like you say, it was a masterpiece. Like that is the one word to describe it. I haven't seen the theatrical cut yet because I was advised. Some people said watch it so you can compare. I'll probably give it a week. No, don't even bother, because I've seen even clips of the difference.
Don't bother.
How are they the same? I don't want to ruin it for myself like that. Like you say, it was a masterpiece.
Do not pass go. Do not collect $200. Do not do it. So
don't collect 200.
And got a few other fellas in the wings, so we're going to bring them on in. Got a brand new face to the Ambassador Wing. I caught this fella over on Mad Max's channel, Movie Madness Entertainment, a few weeks ago, and got a great brain, got some great ideas. I want to welcome everyone. Give a warm welcome to Eddie from Oh My Diaz. Eddie, good to see you, man, and glad to have you here. Hey. And welcome to the Ambassadorial Wing.
Thank you.
Yeah, you're welcome, dude. I love that shirt. Dude, love that shirt. Love it, love it, love it. And got a couple of familiar faces, some that haven't been here for a little bit, but glad that they're here as well. Welcome, everybody. Tim Possible from Tim Talks. Tim, good to see you again, bud.
How you
doing? Doing well. And to round out this esteemed panel, you got to have a Joker at least once in a while. So you know him, you love him. Here he is, Big Daddy-O John Bamford. John, good to see you,
Hello.
bud.
Who's John? I am Soul Tire. I am the soul of Scotland. I am vengeance. I am freedom. I am Soul Tire.
Well, that's a welcome.
As I said,
That's an
you have to have a Joker in every deck. So, Eddie,
I even
Tim,
wore the black suit just for the occasion.
Yeah, Eddie, Tim
you don't want to see my other suit.
No, I really don't. So,
I'll send you
Eddie,
pictures later on.
Please don't. Please don't. Eddie, Tim, it is really a pleasure to have you both. And like I said, Eddie, this is your first time. So we'll pop your ambassadorial chair. Let me pull up something good here. Let's see. Something good. And why don't we go with a little ambassador killer?
If you go to Troy, glory will be yours. The world will remember your name.
Achilles!
Get up, Prince of Troy.
Anyway, fellas, glad to have you all here. We're just getting started, so just going around the horn. Eddie, being you are our first time guest, I will yield the floor to you for a few minutes. Your thoughts on Zack Snyder's Justice League?
Oh yeah, when it comes to Zack Snyder's Justice League, I really liked the movie a lot. I was scared that some people were gonna say, or like how people were saying, it's gonna be the same movie, but no, from the beginning you can tell this is a totally different movie. And once I saw the first scene of Superman, like once he died and all the mother boxes came to life, I was like, oh, that's pretty cool. But yeah, there's so many, even with the scenes that were still in Joss Whedon's Justice League. The dialogue was different, and the scenes were more stretched out. So I was like, either way, with the same scenes, there's still more to it. But no, either way, I liked the movie. I enjoyed it. I did not take any breaks. I watched all 4 hours straight while doing anything just in my room. Mm-hmm. But yeah, I'm just liking what I'm seeing. Even right now on Twitter, right, today's the movement to restore the Snyderverse. People are going in. They're breaking records right now for it could definitely go up to a million plus today if people really try. But yeah, overall, I really enjoyed the movie. That's all I can say.
Awesome. I totally agree.
Your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, any world but tours. I myself do think it's a masterpiece, especially compared to the 2017. It just felt like an actual film, like not so botchy. Yes, 4 hours and 23 minutes long, but I felt like it flowed well. Every scene was a lot more fleshed out. We got to see more from Cyborg. It made sense, and he got arguably got a upgrade in skills almost, because they didn't mention the fact that he can drop bombs literally on the whole planet. And then you showed a lot more of him hacking into things. They cut out a whole scene before Lois gets there when they're actually inside with Steppenwolf and his dad. That gave it a little bit more of gravitas to it. And then the whole Martian Manhunter scene where he comes in there, I was like, whoa. So, I mean, but it made sense to bring her in there. It's like, well, she kind of cut herself off, and it just was a lot more impactful scene. And then I did like how they fleshed out Clark's scenes too. When he came back, didn't know anything. And even when he went home, he had to go home to really come into his own. And then overall, I just like how Steppenwolf as well, towards the end. Well, his relationship with Diana, because he was kind of calling her out like Amazonian, she's stronger, but she left all the rest of her Amazonians, and he told her that he killed them all and stuff like that. So I like that little camaraderie or rivalry. And then I also like the fact that he had motive himself. He wasn't just a bad guy just because. And so the whole film just made more sense. If I'm going to make little cracks at it, maybe the slow motion scenes could have been tightened or just been slow-mo and then go to full speed, especially when Superman was dodging Steppenwolf, where he goes and then just full motion. I mean, they did a lot of that, but the flash scenes were funny. But yeah, I was just super excited. Every scene was episodic and visually shot well. I know people made some cracks at it because the CGI on the side wasn't as clean. But me, I didn't really notice things. You have to like really look. But I guess some people notice a little bit more things than I do. But I loved it. I want more. I want just like 2 and 3.
Yes.
So, yeah.
Soltaire, aka John. I know we talked a little bit on Twitter. I know you didn't get to see it all the way through, but from what you were able to see, your impressions.
Oh, yeah. Oh,
Will you go? Okay, the big question is, will you go back and finish it?
Definitely, 100%. In fact, straight after this, I'm going back on to finish seeing what I missed. And if you're ever doing another one, I'd hope to be on just to give my final thoughts, just to see if my opinion changes. But yeah, I absolutely loved this. It was so much better. The character development was better. The characters were more flushed. The music, the soundtrack was better. The angles and filmography was better. Just the whole thing in general was so much better. The story, the acting, the action scenes, I just loved it. From what I've seen, just I've only seen like the first half, and it was amazing. I loved every moment of it. I'm trying to think if there's any criticisms. There's the only criticism maybe that Amber Heard was still in it, but I'll give it. I'll let them away with that because it was probably for contractual reasons.
Well, not to mention continuity.
Yeah, continuity. Yeah,
So.
but yeah, I liked it. I loved every moment of it. I really did. There was a few jokes in it that was like, but it wasn't overly cheesy. It was very serious. So I thought, it wasn't as bad as Joss Whedon's jokes. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
But I loved it, especially the first scene.
Yes. Well, and okay, I'll go back on.
Yep.
A lot of people have commented on the humor in Justice League, and the thing to remember about Zack Snyder, he does have a sense of humor. And not to mention Chris Terrio knows how to write humor well.
Oh yeah, yeah, it was much better written. Yeah.
Yes. So I will say there is a lot of people say Zack Snyder's movies are so dark and so gritty and so edgy that they almost seem like they're bereft of humor, but I don't see it that way. His humor is a little more, I want to say, cerebral. It's not so much slapstick.
Yeah, it's not so in your face, like, hello, laugh, hello.
Yes, exactly. I mean, kind of like with the scene where Bruce recruits Barry, and Barry asks him, "What's your superpower?" And Bruce just looks at him and says, "I'm rich." And then, of course, you have the whole sequence where his car. And can I just say, I love Bruce's car in this movie. Oh, and it powers up, and the music just cues perfectly. And I'm like, yeah, I love that car. I will have to say, of superhero cars, just like when they're not being superheroes, that car and then Tony's car from Iron Man 1, my top 2 superhero cars of all time.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, definitely.
Period. They're sleek, they're beautiful, and I, as a car enthusiast, I love those cars. I love Bruce's car. I love Tony's.
Oh, definitely.
And just a shout out to the chat, Aaron Entertainment. Good to see you. Thank you for popping in, bud. And we'll catch you later. And I'll try and catch your show sometime today, if not today, tomorrow for sure. So, but yeah, guys, we, like I said, we now live in a world where Zack Snyder's Justice League exists.
Oh,
and I'm going to say this.
I don't know if we'll get more. Because
and we're going to dig
articles.
We're going to dig a little bit into this because I have listened to a whole lot of opinions all across the gambit, across the spectrum about this. Will it happen? Won't it happen? But I do want to discuss that, but I want to kind of focus just on this particular moment because Zack Snyder has done something that we have not seen, I think, quite literally in a few generations. He has brought a sense of grandiose and gravitas and epicness back to cinema.
Yeah.
I mean, let's be Now, if y'all disagree with me, that's cool, and we'll go around the horn after I say my piece. Zack Snyder's Justice League is not just a great superhero movie. It is a great piece of cinema. It is a great piece of film history not just because of the story behind it, which, yes, the story is a part of it. But we have not seen a superhero movie like this, really. I don't think ever. I mean, we've gotten superhero movies going all the way back to Christopher Reeve up and now, and the evolution of comic book movies. This is a benchmark in a lot of ways. I know a lot of people say the MCU Infinity Saga, it's a benchmark. I will not disagree with that point. But what Zack Snyder has done is he has taken the comic book movie and really elevated it to something truly exceptional. And I want to spend a little time and just kind of discuss that whole concept. And with that, I yield the floor. Whoever wants to go first, share your thoughts on anything I had to say.
Yeah. Just before we continue, could everyone hear Ambassador there? He was breaking up a wee bit for me.
A little bit,
Yeah.
but I still heard.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Sorry about that. Okay. I'll try this again. What I said was what Zack Snyder has done is he has taken the comic book movie and really elevated it to a true art form. It's something that is, I think, a benchmark in cinema and honestly a benchmark in comic book movies in general. Gentlemen, your thoughts on that?
No, I definitely think he did. Because this, it was like a true piece of art. It felt like an epic. Like if you watch the movie 300, you watch, well, not so much I Love Troy, but 300, every scene was just like beautifully shot. You really felt like you were a Spartan or whatever, gearing up for battle. Just like the attention to detail, like the dirt on them and like the highlight of the muscles in the sky just always looked like they were in some like other like else world or whatever. And that's what this felt like. It was like, and it made sense because the Justice League are the new gods. It was kind of like a passing of the torch to this movie. And I felt like this movie captured all of that because for me, it captured like Endgame level, because like Endgame set up that epicness in a way, but this was like epicness throughout. Endgame didn't really feel like that till the end. And I like Infinity War better than Endgame. Endgame, I liked Endgame, but it just kind of felt a little short for me. Yes, good moments at the end, but this was just like all throughout. I felt like it was like a immersive experience. It was just like taking it in. There was a lot to take in. So yeah, I agree with you on that, Ambassador.
You want to go first, man, or speak next?
I'll go. Yeah, okay. So I completely agree as well. So in terms of how they approached it, I think something that they may have been guilty with in terms of what they've released previous, they've been trying to almost maybe keep up with Marvel and how they've portrayed theirs, whereas this is something completely different. It's that they've kind of, well, with the Snyder cut, at least I haven't seen the theatrical cut, obviously, but I've seen previous DC movies. But it's got that different feel. It's not like, oh, we're trying to be Marvel. This is DC, this is what we are, and this is what we can be. And it like you say, it's just a masterpiece in what it is. It's something completely different. It all, like you've just said then, in terms of how it's like an epic. You've got the whole. It's like you have to pay attention. You follow. It's a lot more dramatical. There's a lot more drama to it. There's a lot more like story. You have to pay attention. It's not like, I guess with Marvel obviously being part of Disney as well, it's they're catering for a kind of younger audience as well. You kind of get that feel, whereas this, you don't get that so much. It's more like you have to pay attention. You have to be fully invested to kind of get to grips with the whole storyline. And I think that's great in how they progress that story to how they get to the end point of the movie. It's like especially with the part 1, part 2, part 3, you become more invested as it kind of goes on, and you want to get to that end point. Whereas it's a bit more of a, sorry, if you were to compare it to Marvel, it's a bit more of an easy watch, if that makes sense, because you kind of can do something whilst you're watching it. Whereas with Justice League, the Snyder Cut, you had to pay attention. You had to be, you
Oh,
know,
yeah.
you didn't want to miss anything. You know what I mean? It's kind of one of those feelings. But for me, especially, that's kind of how I felt with it all.
Yeah. Yeah, the darker tone worked for it too, because I mean, look at the Dark Knight trilogy. It was never the tone that was the issue. It's it's just the writing and how it's put together. And I felt like this just was a lot more cohesive and made more sense.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, the dark tone is fine for DC because it's more suited to DC, whereas Marvel is more like family friendly, which is, I think, why Disney wanted to acquire them. Is it a masterpiece? Yeah, I would say so. I know why some people would think it's not a masterpiece because, it's a comic book movie and it's like, I don't know why, but critics seem to really not like when it comes to comic book movies, they don't consider them like masterpieces. But when it comes to Zack Snyder's one, and it might be just because I'm comparing it to shite, because anything's better than shite. Sorry, my language. Crap, I mean.
No, you're fine, bud.
But I think just the filmography, and I'm not the biggest fan of Zack Snyder's work. Like, I think he's great at planning out, and he's good at planning out his universe. He thinks, he's like George Lucas. He plans 2 steps ahead. He's like, right, this is going to be this movie. This is going to be this movie. He's kind of like the Kevin Feige of the DC universe in a way. Which is why I would love to see more of him. And I think he should be in charge of everything. That's just my personal opinion. But from what I've seen, it was fantastic. I really do consider it a work of art. And that, especially compared to his other films like Man of Steel and Batman v Superman, I didn't get that feeling of epicness that I got with this. This was just over the top, full blown. It was very much like Endgame or Infinity War. Maybe a little bit more like Infinity War because it wasn't like an ending almost. They've still got the big bad to come later on.
Yeah.
But just there was a lot of tension. You weren't, even though we already know how it's going to end, we didn't know how it was going to end in this. They could have changed so many, and they changed a lot in this, which kept you wanting more. And it's like just comparing like the 2 scenes, like when Bruce came, was so much better. It was less jokey. Like there wasn't, I hear you talk to fish. Like that was a very cringy line. And just the music, like when I don't know, was that Viking songs or Icelandic or Nordish? Just, when they were singing Aquaman off, I just loved that. It was very cultural. I felt like I was learning something as well. And the bit about not being able to take your eyes off, yeah, I totally agree. Because at the same time, when I was trying to watch it, I was watching this and I was like, shit, I've missed something. And I had to keep on rewinding back. I was like, oh, wow, damn. And that's why I hadn't managed to see it all because I was so busy. It's like, I wanted to watch it, but, funny, when you try and sit down, everyone seems to want you, for something. You can't get a minute alone. But yeah, I totally agree. I think it was a work of art. I think it was a masterpiece. The music, the filmography, the dialogue, the acting, it was all superb. Mwah. I could go on if you want.
Eddie, your thoughts, bud?
Yeah, when it comes to the Snyder Cut, I don't think it's a masterpiece, but it's definitely a good movie. It's definitely a good movie. And something about it too, the Snyder Cut in general is the concept is something we never seen before because Marvel would never do something like this. Put something like this on Disney Plus, never. Maybe a movie like an hour-long movie, like hour 30-minute movie, but not a 4-hour movie. I think like with all the stuff you've seen in the Snyder Cut in general, it's like yes, there was a sense of epicness, and it made sense because of the R rating. Because obviously, with Apocalypse, Darkseid, Steppenwolf, their legions, they're brutal. They're brutal. They don't take prisoners. Well, in that movie, they did, but for a reason because they wanted the mother boxes. But yeah, it made sense. Yeah. And look, all the swear words, because I know some people were complaining about Batman saying F and all that stuff. It's like, well, I'm pretty sure you see with everything else going on with the violence. Do you really care if somebody swears in this movie? Like, I don't know. For me, that part, that because people were nitpicking that. So far, I haven't seen anything on YouTube of people making rants in that way, saying, and yeah, there's lots of things I did kind of not like the slow motion. Sometimes it was like, okay, like get to the point already.
Too many.
And I think, yeah. No. Some of the shots were definitely beautiful. I'm just saying. And when it comes to the music, like with Wonder Woman, for everything it was that vocalizing mystical music for anything she did. So I was kind of noticing that. So I was like, damn, like, okay, like I get it. It's about something's about to go down, but hurry up with the music, like get to the scene already. But no, it was a wonderful movie, and it was definitely something. It was definitely something amazing to see for everyone who was supporting it for all the years that we were trying to get this, even for people to acknowledge that this was even real, because for 4 years we were going back and forth saying no, it's real, just wait, just watch, and look, now it's out. People are salty, people are mad, and that's how it's going to be moving forward.
Yeah, and hey, I'm gonna pop this comment up here, and hey, as a fellow YouTuber, all art is subjective. You say it's very, very good. I say it's a masterpiece, and that's cool. I'm not gonna berate you for that by any means. Cerner, a good friend of mine. In my opinion, yeah, it's good, very good, but masterpiece, that's a stretch.
Yeah.
And it might be a little too soon to.
We might blame him here for that.
Yeah, I know, John. I know. So, I will say this much. The thing for me with this movie, I'm sorry, go back on camera. I have been a fan of comic book movies. I've been a comic book aficionado in certain respects all my life. And for me, seeing something like this brought to life. I mean, mostly everybody knows I'm even going to be doing a stream about this later this evening with Brian, Master of None. As a Marvel fan, and I don't want to blow my whole conversation or anything with that, but as a Marvel fan, I look at this, and this has just as much validity and has just as much weight and is just as good, I will say, if not better, than anything within the MCU. But for me, when I watch movies, I don't watch them just from the aspect of, okay, it's very good and within this genre, in this case as a comic book movie, or it's a great science fiction movie, or it's a great crime drama or whatever. I ask myself, is this more than just a great film within its particular genre? And for me, I say that with all honesty, yes. Outside of the realm of comic book movies, this is a great film. Something that you hit upon, Tim, and I thought was very accurate in terms of Cyborg, Ray Fisher's character. Not seeing the original theatrical cut, the Justice League cut, spending all that time with Victor and seeing his relationship with his mother and father was something that I very much resonated with, because at times in my life, my relationship with my parents, both my adoptive or my parents and my biological parents, was contentious, and I could, to a degree, connect with Victor on that level, because I don't see him just as some fictionalized character that has gone through this horrific accident and now has been brought back to life through scientific means. He has issue with his father. He had issues with his father even before he became Cyborg. Who'd we lose? We lost Luke. Oh, there he is. Oh, he had stepped away. Okay. All right. So for me, the character of Cyborg wasn't just Cyborg. It was Victor Stone, who had problems with his parents, and particularly his father. And I think that's something that can speak to all of us, because we all have at one point or another had an issue with our families in one degree or another. And I think this was a good way, particularly at the end. I've brought this up before, particularly at the end when he reconstitutes the tape recorder to listen to the rest of the message. And he finally understands what his father was trying to tell him. And his father was trying to make amends. And I think that's something that's very powerful. But that's me. So, and if you want to bounce off anything I said or just whatever. So, I yield the floor.
He's back.
Yep.
Yeah, no, I think that it was a very impactful scene, especially with not only Cyborg but Barry also, because like the other one, you didn't really even get to see his relationship with his dad. I didn't even know till the other day they had changed actors for Barry's dad, but I didn't mind it not until someone pointed out. But yeah, you get that moment when Barry gets that job, like it's like a new hope for him in a way. They didn't even show any of that in the 2017 movie, and I really liked that relationship. And even when he was going back in time to save everyone, he mentioned his dad, and I don't feel like that payout at the end, it wouldn't have been as impactful without that other scene. So all those scenes like made a lot of sense, and I feel like anyone could relate that with the father relationship. I mean, his dad hasn't always been there for him because of all this, but I mean, it had to be hard on Barry, but at least they had those moments to connect together. And same thing with Cyborg. At the end, they kind of came together, and those tapes, like he crushed that tape and brought the tape back to life, and I thought that was like a kind of an arc for Cyborg. Well, it was an arc because at first he didn't want to be himself, and that wasn't really flushed out in 2017. He was like, "Look at me, I'm a monster," or he said something along the lines. But then he's like realized, he's actually like gifted or lucky to have all those abilities. Yeah, he'll never get to play football again like he did in high school and stuff because of what he became, but towards the end, he accepted his abilities and he became like a major factor, and which helped him at the end with the mother box. So, yeah, it was great.
Yeah, I really preferred the character development in this. We got to actually meet the characters more and know more about them. We actually got to see them saving people, which is, the best part. The previous one, they didn't really save anyone until the end, and even that, it didn't really show much, I liked what they did to the Flash in this because, he didn't seem as like a coward before, and, he actually did something, he didn't seem like a total noob as much as he did in the original, which I didn't really like. I was like, you save people, how do you not know what to do? He's the fastest man alive. How can he, why is he asking? He can zap around and probably take out everyone in a blink of an eye before they even notice, and yet he's like, oh no, I don't know. And then but especially Cyborg, I can see why the guy Ray Fisher, I think it was,
Ray Fisher.
Ray Fisher, I can see why he hated the Joss Whedon version, because they really didn't do him justice. All the scenes that we got to see here, which really got either got cut or left on the chopping block, I don't know, but this was a much better and more sympathetic character. It made me want to know more about, the character, like get his own solo movie. Whereas before I was like, who cares about Cyborg? He's just Cyborg, Maybe if they were doing a Teen Titans movie or something like that. But in this, I actually felt like he was an actual member of the team. He actually was in the Justice League. And he actually did a lot, he contributed and helped out. But just to see his background, his relationship with his father, to see all he went through, I really felt for this character, whereas before I didn't, So I just I just loved the character development so much more. Even, Diana and, Superman, though we didn't see Superman as much in this one, what we did see, I thought was a lot better as well.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Especially the black suit. I love that thing. It's
Oh,
like,
yeah. I've just to speak on the black suit real quick. I'm definitely going to be getting that McFarlane figure. Absolutely, when everything.
Oh yeah.
I've already decided the 3 I'm going to get. I'm going to get Black Suit Superman. I'm going to get Darkseid. I'm going to get Steppenwolf.
Oh, yeah.
Bam, bam, bam. So,
I mean, Black just looks so much sexier, I think.
Yes. Yeah, but unfortunately, John, you don't look as good in it as Henry Cavill does. Just saying. Sorry.
That's fattest. Oh. We've got a fat shamer here. That's not cool, man. Not in this age. You can't say.
Luke, I don't know how much you heard or anything, but any thoughts on Ray Fisher's performance or any performances really in Justice League?
Obviously, with not watching the previous, I had nothing really to compare it to in terms of different takes and stuff. So it all seemed really good to me. And you mentioned earlier as well, in terms of there wasn't much comedy in it and stuff like that, which I felt was good if you compare it to kind of the previous. But like the Flash had his moments, but it kind of makes sense for him as he's a teenager or he's a younger character. Batman being the older kind of person he is, and Wonder Woman being however many thousand years old she is, the humor might be wasted on them. But when you're a teenager and you've just like started meeting all your favorite superheroes, as he kind of alludes to in the film, it makes sense for someone of that age to make the joke. So it didn't feel out of place. Whereas if Ben Affleck, who's supposed to be a depressed Batman, starts making jokes, you're just a bit like, doesn't really fit the kind of the scenario. But I thought it all fit together really well. And in terms of like, you mentioned character development and stuff, I thought it was all great. And I felt, obviously never seeing the Flash or Cyborg before, previous to this movie, they all fit in quite nicely as a first kind of introduction. They didn't see him out of place or like they hadn't just popped up from nowhere. Like it still made sense in that them being there sort of thing.
Yeah.
I want to comment on Batman. He had some development in there too. He wasn't as he wasn't as stiff really. Like when they're getting on the bat ship, whatever you want to call it. He says something about faith to Alfred or whatever, and he kind of like smiles for a second or kind of smirks.
Yes.
And then I love that scene when Martian Manhunter shows up towards the end, and he's just really not surprised that he shows up, and he gives him Martian Manhunter gives him that compliment. Your parents will be proud of you, and he's like, but no, a lot more lighthearted Batman throughout, and even Aquaman too. He was stiff, and he had that. He felt bad for Ray Fisher's Cyborg character because he had just lost his dad, and he makes that line in there too. So you see some more subtle growth from him, not as much, but I did like the Aquaman scenes or whatever when he's talking to Murrah and the other dude. But yeah, you just see a lot more emotion and like slight more development from other characters. So yeah.
I've got Turner Lots comment up here. Thoughts on the diversity added back in that was cut from just Justice League. And I think he's referring to the fact that Silas Stone, Raymond Choi, a.k.a. I have learned the Atom, and obviously Cyborg's mother, and so on, was added back in from into Zack Snyder's Justice League. Gentlemen, your thoughts on any of that? For those of you that have seen both versions. Because I can't really say much because I refuse to watch the Justice League. I'm sorry. I like good movies. I don't like bad movies. I don't waste my time on bad movies. My time is precious.
Yeah. Eddie, I suggest if you've not seen the first one, you have to go back, watch it, and then watch the Snyder Cut again. And I really think you'll get the feeling of a masterpiece if you compare the two, because it's like, apples and oranges. They're completely two different things. And once you see the difference, I think, and that goes for anyone in the chat that didn't consider this a masterpiece. I think if you compare the two, you really can see the difference, and you just alone at everything that's in it, you will consider it a masterpiece, definitely. As for the diversity, maybe I didn't see that far as I thought I did. Don't remember a lot of diversity, but some of it, I don't mind diversity as long as it's called for. Like Cyborg's mother, that's fine. He comes from an African American family, so why not have the mother? It increases the bond. It shows what he lost and stuff like that. I don't really think. Yeah, like what did you say? The Atom was diversified, Ambassador? Sorry.
What I mentioned was the fact that we had all those other characters that were added back in.
Oh,
like
the added characters. Oh, yeah.
They added the Ryan Choi, the Atom.
Yeah.
Which I'm guessing this is the new 52 Atom. It's not the Atom that I grew up with and everything. Because the thing to remember, folks, is I am not the biggest expert on DC. Marvel is my universe, but again, I love DC because I am a comic book freak. I'm a comic book super freak. Anyway, but
I loved all the characters that they added in, because it really sets up the universe. Whereas Justice League, it didn't feel as grand before. It felt like an ending, like there was no development. But just having Martian Manhunter, the Atom, it opens so many other possibilities. So from that point of view, I can see why it got put back in. The same with the Joker. I loved Jared Leto. He was so much better in this, and it shows what we could have got in the haircut if, they left more of him and paid more attention on him, which is why I still demand and say, give us the haircut, Honestly, I think it'd be like the Snyder Cut. It'd be so different, and people would, love that. And it might even be even better than the JJ Suicide Squad that we're getting, which I'm still not 100% sure about.
It's not. It's not JJ. It's James Gunn. James Gunn.
James Gunn. All right. Yeah, I like James Gunn for Guardians of the Galaxy. But I'm very questionable when they bring in Marvel directors into DC thinking that they can recreate that magic. It might work, it might not work. I'm not sure. It's like I also heard that they want to bring Nolan in for Daredevil. Now, again, that might work because Daredevil is a very similar character to Batman.
Yeah.
So he might be able to recreate it. But it depends who if it's Daredevil, then yeah. But there was other characters, they were like, no, that just won't work, Nolan is good with the dark and gritty, but they want to bring him into Marvel, and I don't know if he's going to be able to do the same kind of job as he did. And likewise, I'm not certain about James Gunn. I mean, just look at Joss Whedon. He did fantastic with the Avengers, but when it came to this, oh god. It was a disaster.
Well, let me hold on one second. Let's be honest here. This was a Zack Snyder. Well, to kind of use an old term, this was a Zack Snyder joint.
Yeah,
this was a Zack Snyder film through and
yeah.
This was a Zack Snyder film through and through. This was not a Joss Whedon film. This was Zack Snyder's baby. This was part 3 of his. This was part 3 of his 5-part arc. Looking at you, Miss Sarnoff, or Mrs. Sarnoff, whichever the case may be. Heaven help the man that's married to you if you are in fact married. Sorry, I'm not trying to throw shade. Sorry. That was a little catty of me. I apologize. Try not to be catty here. This was Zack Snyder's baby. This was part 3 of his story. And here's the thing for me. Being a fan of Zack Snyder's work, since pretty much the beginning of his career. I expected no less than this from him because I know he can bring this type of work. I know he pours his heart and his soul and his spirit into every film he does.
Yeah.
Now, is it a collaborative effort? Of course it is, because let's be fair, Zack Snyder is not the best writer. Chris Terrio obviously is. Apparently, Rise of Skywalker was not indicative of what Chris Terrio can do if you take the leash off. He can really kick ass at writing good movies. This was well written. But I think, honestly, this is, I think, one of Zack Snyder's best films, if not maybe his best film. We'll have to wait and see with the next two parts, which I am saying, whatever form that may take, and we can kind of shift gears now if y'all want to. I want to see parts 2 and 3 of his 5-movie arc.
Yeah.
Now, whatever form that may take, if it's done solely on streaming, fine. I don't care. But I want to see this story finished. I don't like cliffhangers that aren't fulfilled.
No.
If you look at the original Star Wars trilogy, it ended on a massive cliffhanger that was fulfilled.
Mm-hmm.
If you look, and I know some people may roll their eyes when I say this, if you look at the Hunger Games, that was left on a cliffhanger that was fulfilled. If you look at the Lord of the Rings, although technically Lord of the Rings is one long movie, but if you kind of want to put a cliffhanger thing on that, Lord of the Rings was left on a cliffhanger, actually 2 that were fulfilled. Why not let Zack finish his story?
Exactly.
So, gentlemen, Eddie, Luke, I yield the floor. Go ahead.
Yes, something about because I don't know how many people here saw the leaked storyboards for 2 and 3, but some of that stuff he had was I'm not gonna lie, he is crazy for that stuff. I'm not gonna lie. I would never have thought of seeing something like that in Justice League movies. But look, some of it I agree with. Some of it is like, I don't know about this. But look, it would have been definitely cool to see in live action. And look, I still have hope for Justice League 2. Some people are even saying probably in DC fandom they'll probably announce it. Who knows? But I'm definitely on board with when even with the Justice League, like the movies, the other 2 movies. He was trying to set up the Cyborg movie. He said he regrets not trying more to get it up more like attention WB. Even Ryan Choi, he said himself he was trying to make a Ryan Choi movie. So I was like, damn, he was trying to get a lot of stuff together then. But yeah, that's all I have to say. Yeah,
I think the fact I've not seen any in terms of leaks and stuff like that on news, but the fact that HBO or Warner Brothers, whoever own the property, the fact that they have released this in itself, it's like they're almost testing the waters. Obviously, people have theorized that the fact it existed and stuff, but for them to then release it in a business sense kind of then just disregards the movie they brought out in 2017. So why would they do that? Because it just it kind of tarnishes what they released previously, doesn't it? For them to then release this without some sort of plan as to even if it existed or it didn't, which obviously we know now it does, then why would they bring it out? Because it just, unless they're just literally doing it to make money and they're not going to plan anything more of it in terms of progressing it. But it seems like it's a test, a kind of what is the reaction, what are people's thoughts on it, because for me, it just wouldn't make sense for them to bring out a movie in 2017 and bring out the same movie but a different cut of it, because it kind of just, we agree with all the fans that it was really rubbish, so we'll just bring out this new one and that's it. We'll leave it full stop there. Like, I think the door is open and they're just kind of, again, I've not seen any news or anything like that if people have said like this is just in honor of Zack or whatever, but is it in a kind of business sense, it would make sense for them to release it as some sort of a test or kind of judge people's reactions and then maybe progress with it further, because it is what people have been asking for a number of years, as Eddie alluded to. So for me, I think it is something that they might see, like we might see move further and progression with.
I haven't. Eddie, you said you saw like parts, like plans for 2 and 3. Where'd you find those at?
Yeah, it was a while. It was a while, but now they're nowhere now because people Warner Brothers themselves were removing them. So I was like, wait, like it was a bunch of storyboards for 2 and 3 that were planned from Zack himself. Everybody saw the images and people were breaking it down. Yeah, he had lots of crazy stuff on there.
I'd be interested to see it. Like, yeah, we got to start this hashtag. We got to get this going. I want to see part 2 and 3. I wonder, like, how they would do that. Like, because at the end they showed that like multiverse thing, you know, with the Joker and Deathstroke, but like they had the Flash movie coming out. I wonder if they're gonna tie any of that in there, or it'll probably stay. I don't know what they're gonna do with the Flash.
Didn't they say in the movie? I'm pretty sure. I think the Joker said something, but I'm pretty sure this is one timeline out of a lot. Cause I'm pretty sure it kind of mentioned that they actually did this over and over again, trying to actually win. Like, if you know what I mean, like I was some Doctor Strange stuff with the possibilities of them winning. So I'm pretty sure they tried this more than once. Then in that nightmare scene.
Yeah, because he says, how many times have you tried to save in your nightmares, don't he? How many times have you tried to save Lois in your nightmare or something along those lines? So, like you say, the possibilities of them trying it again, how many times have they done that?
Yeah.
So is the Flash movie about resetting the universe? Because I know they have that multiverse Supergirl coming in.
Well, yeah. It's unclear at the moment because originally they says that after the Flashpoint, that maybe Michael Keaton may become like the new Batman, like, oh, he's changed something and he can't change it back. I don't know yet. You know, a lot of it's just rumor and speculation, and we'll just have to wait and see. But in regards to the Snyderverse, I hope to God that they do more. Because I didn't like the Disney trilogy. You know, I call it the Disney trilogy, not the sequel trilogy, because it's not what we were supposed to get. And the reason I didn't like it was because, you know, as they say, too many cooks spoil the broth. You know, they started with JJ, and then someone else took over, and then he ruined that, and then JJ came back to try and fix the mess, and you know, it was a total mess. You know, it should have been one director from the entire start to finish, and if JJ couldn't do that, then they should have got Trevorrow or someone else to do the full trilogy. And I think it should be the exact same for the Justice League movies, because can you imagine if someone else took over? It'd be like Joss Whedon's interpretation of Justice League. You know, it wouldn't feel as good, it wouldn't fit right. And I really don't want to see anything that's not from Zack Snyder. And money-wise, they'd be stupid not to, because I don't know how many subscriptions they've got, or, you know, ticket sales from cinemas from the ones that were opening. But I think they could make a whole lot more money from this if they give the fans what they want. I think I agree that we need to, you know, kind of all band together and let them know, no, we don't want that crappy stuff. We don't want any more Wonder Woman 84. We don't want any more Birds of Pish. I
kind of like it.
Hey, you like what you like.
Okay.
Hey.
I'm glad someone did.
I'm actually going to be doing this is something I've brought up numerous times. This is something that's echoed through a lot of the different people that I have connected with through the just online. Art is subjective. So one person's masterpiece is going to be another person's trash.
Yeah.
So there's
You and me have butted heads many a times, Ambassador, especially when it comes to the Hellboy.
Yes,
the new
this is
one.
true.
Yeah.
This is true.
But we don't have to agree. That's what's great about everything. We don't always have to agree. We can still be civil. We can still debate and talk, and that's the way it should be. You know, everyone can like their own thing. There's something for everyone.
It shouldn't evolve into a shouting match. People calling each other nasty names. That's just that's not constructive.
And that's what I hate the most is them attacking the fans and calling us toxic just because we wanted this and they gave it to us. That I disagree with. You should never insult your fandom. Never. Star Wars did it and see what happened to them. And, you know, Warner Brothers have to be careful on who they listen to, you know, the media or the fans, because one will just get themselves trashed and the other is going to give them money. Yeah. So, you know, as the saying goes, the customer's always right. We want to give you money. We want it to be entertained. So why not? Just because.
That's why sorry. Go on.
Yeah. So no, just because we didn't like the original doesn't mean, you know, we didn't find some good at it. But yeah, they have to admit this was way better. And, you know, we were right. The fans were right. And that's what they don't like.
That's why I feel like, you know, sorry, how I mentioned, like they wouldn't bring this out otherwise if they hadn't have been calculated about it, because why else would they kind of trash their own film that they've brought out? Because it just wouldn't make sense business-wise for them to then bring this out and say, sorry, that's all you're getting, because then they're going to piss off more fans, than they already did in the previous.
And that's another thing. Remember, they used to say there is no Snyder Cut, you know, it's never going to happen. And now we have it. So why can't they? You know, the fans aren't going to go away. You know, we still want more. We were happy with what we got, but we still want more. You know, we want to know what happens with Darkseid. We want to know, you know, Zack Snyder's vision. It's the same with George Lucas. I would still kill. I would pay money. I would kill to find out George Lucas's original version. Honestly.
I don't doubt that for a minute.
There's a reason I wear a mask. It's to hide my identity, you know.
Well, at least it's not.
Have I got a little blood on it?
All right. I might catch a little heat, and maybe I won't. But at least your mask looks good, unlike a certain other helmeted half-wit with that refers to himself phallically. That's all I'll say. Anyway,
you're so incorrigible. He's not that bad. He gets it right.
He's an ass. He is an ass with a capital A. He is an ass. You know what? Yes, I used to watch the other DC, the crappy DC, not DC movies. Even though some of those aren't the best. I used to watch DC. I used to be a part of his Patreon. I sent him a few super chats. I wish I could get a freaking refund, but it's done and over with. I don't care. I'm sorry. Excuse me for being blunt.
Yeah,
but he's a hack.
Okay.
There. I'm sure I'm making some downvotes. I do not care. Thank you for the interaction. Let's move on. You know, here's the thing about Snyder. The guy beat his head against a bloody brick wall with a studio that once upon a time used to have a decent reputation. I mean, I like to think that Warner Brothers used to have a decent reputation, that they didn't used to be a pile of noxious gas bags who didn't know their ass from a hole in the ground.
Yeah,
but
I remember Warner Brothers back in the 80s. They did some of the best movies. 80s Warner Brothers. You know, they did some great action movies. I think the Lethal Weapon franchise came from. Correct me if I'm wrong. Came from them.
I'm pretty sure
they were some of the best action buddy cop movies I have ever seen.
Do not get me started. Do not get me started on the Lethal Weapon movies. I love the Lethal Weapon movies, all four of them.
Oh yeah. There's a rumor that they might be coming back to do another one, but
Oh,
when are they getting too old for this shit? Because they said that in the last movie.
they
Can you
said
just
in the
imagine?
last
Yeah.
two movies.
I'm coming, I'm gonna catch you. With the old walkers and my
Here's-
back.
Here's the thing about a guy like Zack Snyder. He, like George Lucas, had to fight the studio system,
Yeah.
and he had to, but he won.
Yeah.
And look at how we regard George Lucas now.
Oh,
One of the greats. One of the greats.
definitely. Yeah.
I like
Is he perfect? Is he perfect? No. He's made some silly mistakes over the time, but yeah, it's his vision. Let him do what he wants.
Yes, exactly. Visionaries oftentimes are not appreciated in their time, but I think this is one of the few times when a visionary is appreciated in his time because okay, let's just be honest here. Zack Snyder has been one of the first, if not one of the few, directors in Hollywood to actually and actively engage with his fans.
Oh yeah.
Gene Roddenberry, to the best of my knowledge, never did it. George Lucas, to the best of my knowledge, hasn't ever done it. A lot of the other directors that we all appreciate and admire haven't done it, but Zack Snyder has.
Mm.
Why? Because he understands who supports him.
Yeah.
The fans, the public.
The only other time I can think of where they listened to the fans was the Sonic movie, where they
Mhm.
said,
All
"Oh,
right.
we hate this design," and they went back and they changed it. They gave the
and-
fan. That was another time they gave the fans what we want, and we paid them. We were grateful. We were like, "Thank you. You listened to us.
Yeah.
Here's our money."
Yeah, totally.
That's the thing. You treat us right, and we'll pay. That's how
Yeah.
it's supposed to work.
It's called customer service.
Yeah.
And no, that doesn't mean that you use the customer to service yourself. It means you give the customer, you give the public what they want, and they will give you their money and they will give you their support.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder is a perfect example of that. People came on board with him years ago when he started his film career as a director, and they have supported him ever since, and his fan base is nothing if not grown since then.
Yeah. Definitely.
And now you've got a studio that's once again smacking him in the face saying, nope, we're not giving you any more movies. And I say this to the execs at Warner Brothers, you are doing this at your own peril. Okay, maybe not peril, but you're doing this at your own detriment.
Yeah.
Because
Do you
someone
get
else will
get-
come in and and give him the green light to go forward, and then you will all be the ones with egg on your face because you will be the ones that look stupid.
Do you get the sense that there's kind of like Lucasfilm, there's a bit of a divide in the command, like between AT&T and Warner Brothers? I mean, I've read some reports, and one name seems to keep on popping up: Anne Sarnoff, CEO, and it seems to be all her that's saying no, and
But
calling the fans.
the thing to remember is there are people above her, and she's only in charge of a certain portion.
Yeah, but I mean, it's the same with
So
Kathleen Kennedy. There's still people above charge. She's only
there
in
are
charge of
people,
Lucasfilm.
yes, but the thing,
But the problem is, like with Disney, are they controlling it, or is she in charge of all of the DCU?
she's not
with
in charge
Bob
of
Iger-
everything. There are people above her that can. I was watching a couple of videos by Point Extra Lounge and Matt Jarbo, and several other people besides that.
Yeah.
And this is something I've done my own digging. I've done my own research. I just don't go off of what one person says.
Yeah.
There are a lot of people above Sarnoff that could revoke what she said.
Yeah.
That could quit. Here's the
Which is
thing:
wicked.
if they do another DC fandom, and if Jason Kilar decides this has done exceedingly well. Heck, it actually crashed the server a few dozen times because people liked it so much.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
And not to mention, once it comes out on physical media, when it comes out on Blu-ray, DVD, 4K, all of that, if you see that thing sell out,
I mean,
the people around and above
see when it
her
comes out in
are
DVD, I'm going to be one to get a copy. Definitely.
Hmm?
This is a move. When it comes out in DVD, I want to get a copy. I want to support this cause the best I can. See, if it was on HBO and here in the UK, I would have signed up. I was very disappointed, you know, when I found out that HBO wasn't coming to the UK anytime soon, and I was like, but I want to watch too, and that's why I was so late, because I was like, I don't want to sign up for Sky. Sky's rubbish. I'm not signing up just because one movie, you know. I'm a fan, but I'm not that much of a fan. And it's the same with Now TV. It's like, I don't want to give Now TV my subscription money. I want to give HBO my subscription money, you know, because it's them that's bringing us this. It's not Now TV. They're just someone that contracts out to other countries like the UK. And I'm like, I don't care. I don't want to give them money. I want to help HBO. And that's why when this comes out in DVD or Blu-ray, I want to buy, you know, I want to give my thanks. I want to show my support. And I want to say, yes, I would love to see more. And if you give us more, I will pay more for that too.
Yeah.
And honestly, I don't see what, I think they're going to have to, because I've seen some of the stuff that's coming out, and Warner Brothers, you know, they're going to have a high note with Snyder Cut, and then Aquaman 2 is going to go out, which isn't going to do as well because of all the Johnny Depp and Amber Heard stuff. I think that's going to affect it. We'll see. I think it'll still do all right, but not as well as it could have, you know. And then you've got the whole Johnny Depp and the Crimes, Fantastic Beasts 3. I think that one will underperform as well. And so they're going to make, they're going to make loss after loss after loss. So the only way to make it back is to listen to the fans. But I tell you, they're not going to make it back by calling us toxic and stuff like that. That's going to give us reason not to support them.
Yeah, definitely. So, no, Eddie, let me ask you a question, because I really haven't had a chance to really gauge you on this. In terms of the movie, kind of switching gears back to the movie itself, what were some of your favorite parts, your favorite scenes, moments, whatever the case may be? And Tim and Luke will go around the horn with you two as well.
My five favorite parts were, obviously the action is way better than in 2017. But just seeing Darkseid in general, what the hell? It gets me mad at all the stuff they cut out with them. But no, Darkseid was definitely cool. He sounded scary. Like, this is a guy you do not want to mess with. But the action was good. Even the dialogue, because not everything has to be action. The dialogue can be good too. And it was. There were even the stuff that people were mad about back in 2017 was the stuff they set up in BVS that was never touched upon in 2017. So when Batman was making references to the Flash and what he did with that dream sequence, I was like, oh, okay, thank God he mentioned it. That is important. That is important. And now when we saw towards the end of it, now, you know, is to keep expanding all the stuff.
Exactly.
But the action was great. The dialogue was great. Black Suit Superman was great. Everything has to do with Darkseid, even Steppenwolf. Thank God he was the way he was in this movie. Fearsome. He had a real motivation because he wanted Darkseid to like him again. And you know, not no generic villain here. This guy has emotion. He actually has emotion too. Because obviously he feels like he's a disgrace to Apocalypse and to Darkseid's legions in general. But I loved a lot of stuff in this movie. I can't really. These are some things I'm pointing out, but no, overall there's like I could go forever talking about it, but I'm not.
Well, and honestly, Eddie, I'll have to agree with you. I've already mentioned some of my favorite moments, but definitely the history lesson, going back into the past, that whole sequence, that for me was like one of my top 5 favorite moments in the entire film, just because I love world building and everything. I love seeing the ending of where a story was coming from and where it's going, and the thing I've mentioned, and then I'll Tim, you can chime in.
I got a couple of different points, but my absolute probably favorite was probably towards the end where they're all like pounding on Steppenwolf, and then like Aquaman stabs him with the Triton, throws him up in there, and then Wonder Woman slices his head and he goes right through, and his head just kind of goes through, and I thought that was like a big like power statement right there. And then also the scene where Henry Cavill, Superman, black suit, comes out and the doors open and the smog comes up and you hear Jor-El talking. It's just like a chilling scene. I saw the teaser trailer, but it was cool to see it actually on screen. And then if I'm going to go way back to the start with the old gods, when you see Zeus and all them, I wanted to see more of that scene. I wish they would have fleshed out the fight scene with Darkseid just a little bit more. I know the movie's 4 hours and 23 minutes. Make it 4 hours and 25 minutes. Come on, I want a little bit more of those gods and seeing what they can do. It was just really cool. But yeah, those are my top 3 probably moments in the whole thing.
Luke, what about you, bud?
Yeah, so same as you two guys in terms of the history, like the historic element of like the superheroes and where they've kind of come from. Like it's almost like you say a history lesson, because it's not like they've just appeared from nowhere, or the one day they're not here and then the next day they are, and then all of a sudden Superman's here and Batman's here. It's just like the ties to the past and how they've kind of grown and developed, and how they've already fought this kind of evil once before, and it's like a cycle of how it's coming back again, and how like the hieroglyphs and stuff. Was it the hieroglyphs? But you know, we're in the temple, and it kind of had like how it happened, how the battle kind of happened, like all that sort of throwbacks. It's like how they were trying to tell them to defeat them if they was to come again and stuff like that. I really enjoyed that. Just to mention as well, obviously, because I hadn't seen the original cut, I didn't even know Steppenwolf looked different up until today. I saw a picture. I was like, "Who's that guy?" I was like, "Oh my god!" So I've never had to deal with that. So I'm glad in that sense. I thought like Eddie was saying, his character, like you never really see that kind of side to, especially like the villain. He wanted to make his Darkseid and everything like prior. He wanted to get them back on side, and it was like an extra layer of that character, which I really enjoyed as well. And then, as Tim just said, the fight scene at the end, that was just like we're here as they all work together, and his body and his head fly through that little portal, and that's what at that point you want more though, because then you're like, so now they have to face the bigger threat, but will we get that? We're hoping so. But yeah, they're like my favorite kind of standout moments, and all of it is just how it. If you were to liken it to a Marvel movie, you have points where you can just point it to and say, that was my favorite bit, or that was my favorite bit. With this, because there was so much drama, so like Eddie was saying, the dialogue's here, the dialogue's there, even the cinematics and how it all looked, there's so much good, and it's not just like, oh, it was an action scene. It's like, oh, the history scene is just there's so much all throughout that you can point to, whether it be the dialogue or how things look, or how I just really enjoyed it all.
Yeah. Wouldn't it have been cool if Darkseid would have shot his laser thing through the tunnel and made it through and struck Superman in the corner and put him down to his knees, just to show how strong Darkseid was, just as a tease?
Yeah. That I was a little disappointed that he didn't use his Omega beams, because that's something he's renowned for, the red eyes and the laser Omega beams. But I think they want to keep him a mystery, not show how powerful he is, so that because if they show how powerful he is now, it's not as scary for later on. There's more impact. So it's keeping the surprise, so that when Superman goes up to him, Superman thinks he's all tough and that, and then he goes up against Thingway and he's like, "Is that it?" And then he just bashes him, and he's like, "Oh God, he's not so powerful after all." There is more powerful beings out there, and I think that's why they didn't leave it out. Would I have liked to have seen? Yes.
Well-
Especially if they show Batman, dodging the Omega beams like he did in the comics and the thing. That would be fantastic. The
Yeah.
Steppenwolf design, I was a little on the fence at first when I saw the two, to be honest, because Steppenwolf from the comics, at least, he is more human with the beard and stuff like that.
Yeah.
He isn't this big monstrous beast kind of thing. But then I compared the two, and I like the armor a lot better with the spikes and stuff like that. That was so much more deadly, so much more menacing. And the face grew on me. At first I was like, yeah, but then when I see it in action, he is more fleshed out and he's more menacing. There's more to his story, and I liked him a lot better. It's again, it's a hard to pick out, particular moments because it's all good. I've not seen it all, so I'll probably have to come back and then maybe I'll have a specific moment. I haven't seen the end, but I have seen pictures and stuff like that, so I know that there's more camaraderie, helping each other out. Whereas in it was like they were going at him one at a time in the original. But this one, it looks a lot better. I really loved just to repeat what you guys said, the scene when they're explaining, and that was like something straight out of Lord of the Rings or Endgame, with the big battle scene and everyone's coming together and they're all charging and they're all fighting, and that was fantastic. Now there, I would have loved to have seen the Omega beams be used there.
Well, the thing to remember is this is Darkseid, not quite as evolved as we see him later on in the later on in the film.
Yeah.
So because if you remember, a god wounded him, took him out of the battle. Ares, the god of war, took him out of the battle, and it'll be interesting to see if and when we get to see the Justice League go up against Darkseid, who actually is able to stand toe to toe with him. That for me is going to be very interesting. Yeah. There's only going to be maybe one or two people within the Justice League that can stand up to Darkseid. Yeah. One is definitely one's going to be Superman. And I think the other one potentially could be Diana or Wonder Woman.
So, yeah, that's what I was thinking.
I think Aquaman as well.
He could.
I would say he's kind of like in this kind of same league. He's not as strong as Superman, but especially when he's in the water, he's much stronger, much more powerful. And especially if we get some sea beasts later on, I would love, like they hinted that, maybe in the Aquaman 2, maybe there's going to be some dispute between land and sea, and there might be another war or something like that. I don't know.
I wonder. That'd be good.
Yeah, because they've not really did the whole war kind of thing. And
Aquaman's had a upgrade in power after this. Like after the Aquaman, he gets the armor, the ancient Triton, and all that.
Yeah, King Atlan's Triton. So,
Luke, what I would love to see. Sorry. What I would love to see is, what they did with Thor, how they injured him and made him more powerful. I kind of want to see that with Aquaman, like how he loses his hand in the comic. Like, I would love to see how he's lost his eye. I would want to see him lose his hand and get the hook hand, because I think that would be badass. And, learn some magic, a bit of water control, see more beasts and stuff like that. That's the thing. They're still very early in their development. They're still very young, and I think Superman especially can be a lot more stronger than we've seen them on screen. So I'm looking forward to when he goes up against Darkseid, and he can just unleash his full power. Just beat on him and let out his anger. Because as we know from the comics and TV shows, Superman always holds back. But with Darkseid, he's the one guy, he can just let it all out.
Yeah. Now, Luke, let me ask you your impressions of Steppenwolf and Darkseid, or anything along those lines.
I think they are, so obviously Steppenwolf, we've kind of seen the end of him, but he was a really imposing character. How, especially when you see that especially without Superman, they really struggled. They had their one-on-ones with him, and they held their own, but there was no clear way to defeat him. Like it was always a draw. It was, he obviously got the boxes and stuff, but they couldn't get the better of him. And then obviously Superman comes, which shows that next step up in power from, say, Wonder Woman to Superman. But then we're going to get that the same from Steppenwolf to Darkseid. So that's what's really exciting, and that's what you really want to see more of. You want to see the next evolution of the enemy, and then someone to stand up to Superman, because especially in this, when you see Superman come, and it's almost like it's going to happen. He's just going to beat him. He probably could have done it on his own, Superman, without the help of Diana and Aquaman, just because of that step up in power. But you feel like you're not going to get that with Darkseid at all. It's going to have to be all of them together, otherwise it's just not going to work.
Yeah. Now here's a question I have. Okay, I'm getting an echo. Sorry. Do you think at some point, if we get Justice League 2 and 3, are we going to see New Genesis brought into play with Highfather and Orion and all of them? Or do you think that Snyder's going to keep it focused on the Justice League being able to somehow overcome Darkseid? And this is open to the entire panel. Your thoughts, gentlemen?
I don't think so. I mean, yes, I would love to see it for sure. Maybe if they had like some type of flashback scene to plug it in there, but I don't think it's going to be centered around that. But I hope, they already introduced Martian Manhunter at the end of the film, which is great. Another one to combat with them. And then I really hope if they continue it on, bring in a Lantern. I don't know. I don't care what Lantern, just bring me a Green Lantern. But the thing is, I was wondering, so you got Darkseid, but who else is like on his court that is like Steppenwolf? I almost wish they would have left Steppenwolf alive, because it's like, I know Darkseid's super powerful, but like, I don't know. Is there anyone else to help?
Actually, Darkseid's more. Darkseid's more of the strategist. He's not so much of a combatant. You obviously have Granny Goodness. You have, now it depends on at what point this story takes place. You potentially have Big Barda and the Furies. If this is before Big Barda defects and leaves Apocalypse and goes to New Genesis or comes to Earth, one or the other. There are several. You've even got Calabac, who is a very formidable enemy on Darkseid's court, depending on the interpretation of him. If they make Calabac truly threatening, he could be a very powerful combatant in terms of going up against the Justice League. In the Superman cartoons, and also a little bit in the Justice League cartoons, at first he seems very menacing, but then he becomes kind of, for lack of a better term, oafish and not quite as formidable. So,
yeah, I mean, they're going to have to make this. There's no way the budget's going to be too high for HBO Max unless they charge something, right? Like they spent like $70 million on this. I know it's
that was Warner Brothers, not so much HBO Max. I think it was Warner Brothers proper. They gave the $70 million, but I could be wrong on that. But go ahead, Tim, please.
Yeah, but like, then how much did the film cost? Like before the $70 million, didn't they spend like $300 million on it? Like, this was an expensive film.
It wasn't cheap. Yeah,
it was. But I don't know. I mean, I would love to see them bring more of like beyond like the Earth or whatever, because they got to travel far ways. My biggest question is what are they going to do? Is in the second movie or Justice League Part 2 they show up, but are they going to be getting like preparation? Are they going to like seek in information how to beat Darkseid from somewhere else? Is Superman going to make a trip, or are they going to wait to like on the third movie is when Darkseid actually comes? I'm just like, because like if he comes in the second one, they have to lose, or you would think they would have to lose somehow, or be at a disadvantage. So I'm just like, how would they formulate all this? That's what I'm trying to grasp.
Well, if the rumor, just real quick, John, if the rumors are true for Justice League Part 2 and 3, Part 2 would take place in the nightmare future where they're trying to reset everything. part 3 would be, I think, the final conflict between the Justice League and Darkseid. So,
right.
So
but that's
okay, so
just rumors I've heard.
why would the nightmare future even matter towards this regular storyline?
Well, it is
Right.
part of the storyline. That's the thing. Bruce is seeing a possible future or a likely future. So the question becomes, are they going to try and prevent that future, or is that future going to pass? And I hope for the love of God it's not done off screen, but Zack Snyder is very good at not doing things necessarily off screen. So
yeah. But then what about they show Superman with the red suit on? I thought that was like an alternate time. That's an alternate timeline. So how would that affect the timeline with the black suit Superman? Or does he eventually go back to the red suit?
He might.
I think he'll go back to the red suit because that's more hopeful. Dark's more Batman's thing. So I think they only did for this one movie. I think they're going to go back to the red suit, especially for Man of Steel 2, if that's still happening. Because we've seen pictures of him. They even in the pictures they even show him with the wee cow's lick, which we don't see in the first one. So maybe I think we'll see at least for the Man of Steel 2, and I think for probably the Justice League 2 and 3. What I always thought was that Justice League Apocalypse War, the animated movie.
Yeah, I've seen that.
Yeah,
I have to.
I always thought because originally they says that's what Zack Snyder wanted. He wanted to be a lot like that, how the animated series turned out. And I think he's going to do something similar, probably not exactly the same, but I think in the second one he's going to lose, kind of like the what happened to Avengers. And then that's going to cause the apocalyptic world kind of thing because, he's lost and, Apocalypse has won and took over. Or something's going to happen and Lois is going to die. Maybe because they always say Lois is the key. Which I think is probably set into maybe what causes the apocalyptic war, like Lois dies and Superman loses hopes and maybe turns evil or maybe
essentially he's corrupted by Darkseid because by that point Darkseid has gotten his hands on the anti-life equation and used it to corrupt Superman to his side. So Eddie, Luke, any thoughts on anything we've brought up so far?
No, like in terms of what you've been saying, like I haven't seen any of the animated series, so I have not. What I've seen in terms of the Snyder Cut is that's kind of my involvement, if you will, of the Justice League. I watched the Justice League cartoons when 10, 15, probably 20 years ago now. That's how old I feel. But I don't remember them, so I could rewatch them and I guess get a better understanding of kind of the narrative to see in which kind of direction they could go.
I will tell you, if you have access to HBO Max, if you don't, hopefully when you're able to, they have completed the trifecta or the quadfecta, if you prefer, because they have Batman the Animated Series, Superman the Animated Series, Justice League Unlimited, and Batman Beyond, all on HBO Max now.
Sounds good.
So whenever you get a chance to get access to HBO Max, you can go back and check out all of that stuff. So.
Did they have all the Justice League movies and all that? All the animated stuff, or is it just the TV show?
They've got. I don't know if they have all of the anime movies because they do cycle stuff out periodically, but I think they have just about all of the anime films probably either on there or they have access to them because obviously it's HBO Max, which is Warner Brothers, which has access to all of that. So
yeah.
Eddie, your thoughts?
Oh yeah, I seen all the cartoons too. I seen Batman anime series, Superman anime series, The New Adventures of Batman, Justice League Unlimited, Static Shock. Even the DC animated universe. I seen all the movies. And when it comes to Apocalypse War, I could kind of see why people think something. But before I get to Apocalypse War, when it comes to the deaths of Superman, If anybody's seen that movie, that's a Superman. People were actually saying I kind of agree with how people were comparing it to BVS. How this Superman should have been like this.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, because people were like Superman was getting praised left and right. People like nobody was having issues with him. People were admiring him, and like even the fight with Doomsday in that movie was epic as hell.
Oh yeah, and see Doomsday take out one after another of the Justice League. That shows how badass and how much of a threat Doomsday was, that he managed to take out Diana and Aquaman and everyone else. So that is what I hoped for, instead of just cutting it on to the end of Batman versus Superman. I thought Batman versus Superman should be like the Dark Knight, where it's just the two of them fighting, and then maybe hint at Doomsday for another movie. That's the way I would have done it anyway.
Yeah, and something about that too was they just got there too, and he already beat them all up, and they just got to the league. They just got there, and you're already on the floor and stuff.
Yeah. With Doomsday, I felt they should have had the entire squad. Aquaman should have been there. Flash should have been there. Cyborg, just to show how tough an opponent Doomsday is. And if they ever, maybe they'll listen to us, and maybe after Flashpoint, maybe that resets something and Doomsday comes later. Because originally, didn't they say that, okay, that's not really Doomsday, that's just a clone of Doomsday, or a clone of, that's not the real Doomsday or something like that. I remember they tried to put it off, Doomsday could still happen, the way he was in the comics.
Yeah.
And I would love if they brought Doomsday back, just to show how much of a threat he is. Obviously, they can't kill off Superman again because, that's been done, which is a shame because that's a part of, the story. But just to see Doomsday back, just to see how tough he is, there's other ways they could kill him, maybe try throw him into the sun, maybe try and throw him into a volcano, something, maybe send him to the Phantom Zone. There's other ways other than, them killing each other,
Yeah, totally.
But I would love just to see him back. The same with Ultron in the Marvel universe.
I still think Ultron's alive, but that's just my theory.
He could be.
No, it could be, and I hope he is. But they definitely said, at least in that movie, that he was the last one. He didn't. There was no devices around, so he couldn't just, just go off into the internet. There was no tablets for that. But I hope after the whole multiverse thing that with Doctor Strange, that maybe he comes back or something's changed. Or he's from another dimension where he actually won, and now he's come to this Earth to try and do the same. I would love something like that, because Ultron wasn't given the justice that he deserved. I thought, he's a much bigger villain and more of a threat than the way he was portrayed. Anyway,
yeah, that's fair. The one thing I say, and then you guys can. The thing to remember about the Death of Superman animated film is this is an adaptation of the original story that was told way back when I was a kid, back in the 90s. So I can understand where everybody's coming from, but the thing to remember is the Doomsday we get in BVS and the Doomsday that we see in the Death of Superman are two iterations or adaptations of that character. So what they were doing with that animated film was doing an animated adaptation to tell the full story of the Death of Superman.
Yeah.
And that was the purpose for that film. And honestly, I thoroughly enjoyed it and everything, because I remember reading The Death of Superman way back when.
Yeah.
And I honestly thought it was a very faithful and a very well done adaptation of the story, of that storyline. So
yeah, and it was actually the second time that they had done that storyline. They had attempted it one time before with the Superman Doomsday film, which was good, but the Death of Superman was a much better adaptation. It was more to do with the comics, whereas Superman Doomsday was more like and to do with the Superman animated series. But that's what I would love to see, is just bring him back and do a retelling of the story, just to show Doomsday and his badassness. I know, everyone's open to their own interpretations, and they don't always work out. Um, I didn't mind Zack Snyder's interpretation. I just wish we'd seen more of him. I didn't mind the whole he's a hybrid of Lex Luthor and Zod that causes some kind of mutation. Didn't quite understand how that whole works, but
Yeah.
okay, fair enough. But I wish we got more Spikes, that he was more on screen more, that he run amok and destroyed people, killed people, that there was more Justice League. I just wanted more of that. I liked what we got, but I wanted more,
Yeah. So, well, and this is one of the few times that we've gotten a really good. That we've gotten a really good idea of the motivation and the relationship of a villain to the universe in which they exist with Steppenwolf, because we get the impression, and Eddie, Tim, Luke, and everything. I'll let you chime in on this. You too, John, but I want to give everybody a turn.
No?
I love the fact that we have not just a motivation for I am here to conquer the earth or whatever the case may be, but we get the impression that Steppenwolf has fallen out of favor. We kind of learn why he's fallen out of favor, and the fact that there is a familial tie with Darkseid. I dug that whole dynamic of just the fact that the two villains are at odds with one another. That, I'm evil, you're evil too. No, I'm evil, you're evil, but you screwed me over, and now you've got to work your way back in. I love that added dimension, that added depth to that whole dynamic. So, fellas, your thoughts on that?
And just with those characters in general, like Darkseid, Apocalypse, it really expands the universe more in terms of space, because there's still lots of threats out there, especially in the comics. You see how many aliens that try to attack Earth. Now, and when it comes to look, I really want a Man of Steel sequel so bad. And the villain I would want to see is Brainiac. I want to see Brainiac.
Yes.
Yes.
DCU Brainiac. Oh my gosh. With Zack Snyder, he could. Oh my gosh. That would look. The visuals alone with everything would look so great.
Mm-hmm.
Anyone else?
Oh yeah, I'll follow up on that one. If I were to it's like you're taking the words out of my mouth. Like I was telling my buddy, is like if they make a Man of Steel 2, take the battle to space. Like he gets a signal from like old Krypton or from like some neighboring planet, and that brings him to space somehow. And he's like, "Hey Lois, I got to go for a couple days or however long." Maybe he takes his spacecraft there or just flies out there. And then he bumps into the Green Lantern Corps. They're having a battle, and he kind of stops by and helps them. And he makes allies, like therefore introducing them to the universe, maybe a spin-off film. But then he goes on to where he's supposed to go to, and then that's where he discovers Brainiac. Part 1, he fights like Brainiac, kind of tricks him or reels him in, and then he kind of discovers who he really is. Maybe they're on some type of planet, and he puts up some type of front that he's like, these are Kryptonians, but they're not. And then there's a battle, and maybe he realizes he can't win, and then he takes the second part back to Earth, because Brainiac's just, he's going to need the whole Justice League to take on Brainiac. But that maybe be like, think of like Winter Soldier the Captain America Civil War. Still a Captain America movie. Part 1 in the space, and they bring the battle to Earth. And then that would maybe Green Lantern comes and helps. But that's what I would do with Man of Steel.
Yeah.
Because Brainiac's one of his best villains.
Yes.
Yeah. So something about Brainiac too is he's after every planet. It doesn't have to be Earth, because I'm pretty sure he's trying to do this to Apocalypse too. And if I don't know if you guys seen Justice League, that the episode where even Darkseid came to the league itself. Yeah, he was like, "You guys gotta help me." And my head was like, after all the stuff you try to do to them, try to invade Earth, you're gonna ask them for help, and they did help him too. But that could lead to like some type of team up movie with Darkseid, even though obviously we know it's his intentions. And we have to help him, because obviously who's gonna be next after Apocalypse? Earth. So we might as well just take out the threat entirely.
Yeah.
And what about that little miniature planet that Brainiac has? Maybe he had that reels in parallel with the miniature planet thing
Candor?
The
too.
Bottle City of Candor.
Candor.
Isn't that a cousin, or isn't that like New
No, that was
Krypton?
actually a city that got miniaturized off of Krypton.
A city of.
There we go. That'd be the signal coming from there. And then he's like looking where the signal, and it's like this miniature place, and that's like the big reveal or something. So.
Yeah,
it's possible.
Yeah, because he doesn't know much about his Kryptonian heritage, so it would be good to see some good Kryptonians for change. Get to meet his people. Because before that, all he met was Zod and his army of goons, and it'd be good for him to meet more of his culture. And probably he won't be able to miniaturize it because unminiaturize, because I don't think even in the comics he was able to, was he?
I think he just.
I don't think so.
He's trying to figure out. They're sitting in this ship, right? Or the fortress.
They're in this little bottle or whatever, or capsule that he keeps in his Fortress of Solitude. Okay, I'll bring this up because I've been watching a lot of Big Bang Theory. A lot of Big Bang Theory. I'm already on season 3. When Penny's going through Leonard's closet, she finds that little model mock-up of the Bottle City of Candor. So, and just a quick hi, shout out to Cooking with Ruthie. Ruthie, we're talking about Zack Snyder's Justice League and everything that entails. So, Luke, your thoughts on the whole relationship between Steppenwolf and Darkseid, and anything else you want to add to that?
Yeah, no, like we said earlier, I just think it definitely adds a different level to the one we seen throughout the movie, how much of it, or how powerful of an enemy Steppenwolf was, and he looks up to Darkseid. His is better, is superior in terms of, like, why else would he be trying to get back in his good graces, sort of thing. So it almost sets up for that. Well, it does set up for that big conflict as well, especially when in the end he fails, essentially, doesn't he? So he's like, well, I have to do it myself then. You know what I mean? So he not only that relationship, what we saw when he was kind of trying to get back in his good graces, the fact that he fails must also kind of piss off Darkseid as well, just because he's like, oh, I've got to do everything myself, if you want something done, do it yourself, sort of thing. So I think that in itself will probably egg on Darkseid more, might make him think, well, I've got, why did I even send him in the first place? He was just useless. Like, I was right to throw him to the wolves, or whatever you want to call it, in the first place. But in terms of the relationship, I enjoyed it, and I think the fact how it ended will play into how Darkseid approaches attacking Earth or what have you, if that's obviously what he does do in terms of what we get to see.
Yeah, and the interesting thing is when Darkseid says to grant goodness unto Sod, so be it. We'll prepare the Armada. We'll use the old ways.
Yeah,
that right there for me, that sent chills down my spine. Like, holy crap, this guy has an Armada, a freaking Armada.
Yeah.
I mean, Thanos had one ship. This guy has an Armada.
Yeah.
Holy! I mean, we got an impression of what his Armada looks like in the history lesson. Imagine what it looks like now. Holy freaking crap! I mean, okay, I'm just. Go ahead, Eddie, or whoever's going to say.
Yeah, not even that. Once he said it, when he was walking away, you saw the lines of people stretching all the way down. You know how many parademons?
Parademons.
Yeah. And he has more than just them parademons, like the Furies and everybody else. Yeah, those are people you don't want to mess with.
No, this we got a taste of the forces that are at Darkseid's command are in Justice League and in the flashback scene. Now we can assume that this is advanced several thousand years since then. And honestly, he even says it. I have conquered hundreds of thousands of worlds. I have turned them to dust. This is a villain. This is the thing we have to remember in terms of who created Darkseid and who created Thanos. These were both the brainchild of Jack Kirby, the great granddaddy of all comics. I mean, for heaven's sakes, in the Marvel universe, they use him to depict the one above all. The idea that Darkseid has conquered hundreds of thousands of worlds is nothing short of it's more than intimidating. It's truly frightening. This is not some mustache twirling villain. I will destroy Gotham City with my freeze ray, Mr. Freeze from Batman and Robin. This is a being who has existed for eons and who has become known as a conqueror. This guy has a reputation for conquering and destroying worlds, for subjugating and driving them under his heel. This is quite literally one of the best, if not one of the greatest comic book villains, if maybe not one of the greatest villains ever conceived in the history of pop culture, short of, I don't know. I can't really think of a villain more intimidating than Darkseid, to be honest with you. Yeah. If you were building a pantheon or building a list of the great villains in comic books, both Marvel and DC combined, Darkseid sits at that top, or he's very near that top. He is that powerful, that menacing, and that absolutely frightening. And it was all done with CGI and the voice and Ray Porter. Damn. Anyway, I've kind of done my little mini positive rant, gentlemen. Your thoughts? I'll bring up Ruthie's comment here. Go ahead.
The only person that might be as powerful as I can think of is maybe Trigon and some of the other devil beings, which I would love to see some point down the line them touching to the supernatural side of because just like with Wonder Woman, there are gods, there are other beings, there's a heaven and a hell and all stuff like that. So I would love to see them bring Trigon into it, because again he was good in the Apocalypse War. Just seeing them Titans. Just see them going up against each other. And I was surprised to see, Darkseid struggle in that, because I always thought Darkseid was the ultimate, badass. There was no one more powerful than him. And just to see how, tough Trigon was just amazed me. And it made me, a lot more enthusiastic about the character. Before, you only see him get his ass beat time and time again by Teen Titans, and I'm like, that's Teen Titans. If Teen Titans can beat him, then surely Justice League would beat him easy. But I before they do the supernatural side, I hope they, like you say, do the space side, because Brainiac is very much like, he's not as powerful as Darkseid, but he's pretty powerful in his own. Yeah, especially when, he's fully upgraded with all the mech and tech and stuff like that. And he has his big giant ship. So I hope that they bring him into it, because he's both mind and body. Which Superman hasn't really fought against. He's fought against Zod, which is, physically strong and a tactician, but Brainiac takes it to another level. He's like, even above Batman, intelligence wise. He's went from planet to planet, and he's all these different cultures and all this knowledge. He's like a walking, talking AI. He's practically Skynet. You know what I mean? And I think he would be the next logical choice. Definitely, I agree there.
Yeah, we'll see.
I
Go ahead, Eddie.
Yeah.
I think like in terms of just like masses, like legions and stuff. I think Starro could be a good one.
Yeah. That would be a bad one to jump off from. Now here's the big question. We're probably gonna wrap up here in a few minutes, fellas. In your personal opinions, and we'll go around the horn. What will it take? Because it was a completely different dynamic and a completely different situation in terms of getting the Justice League done. What do you all think it's going to take to get parts 2 and 3 of Snyder's story finished? And I'll add a writer to that question. Do you think Snyder is willing to do it? I open the floor.
I've got enough. I'll let one of you talk first.
I'll make mine kind of brief. Yes, definitely he'll be up for it if we just troll the internet on Twitter with the hashtags, and if Snyder and if some like storyboards start leaking the internet, little snippets like he did the Snyder cut, I could definitely see it come for fruition. And then if people continue to watch and tell people to watch the Snyder cut, I don't see how they can say no. And those are my thoughts on that.
Okay.
Yeah, I'd agree with that as well. I think the power is very much in our hands in terms of how we've reacted to it originally being released now. So we've got it now, and now it's into our hands in terms of how we now deal with that. Like, we have to let them know this is what we want. Like as I mentioned earlier, why else they've released it for a reason. Now we've all seen it, or a lot of people have seen it, and like Tim's just said, if we get other people to carry on watching it, and then the reviews are obviously positive, and they're very aware that this is the direction that the fans want it to be taken, because they don't want to piss off all the fans again. You know what I mean? So
yeah.
And Zack Snyder himself, if he's seen this obviously positive reaction from his baby, essentially, then he surely would see that as a great opportunity to build his world further and progress with it. So, yeah, I think it's something that hopefully we do get moving forward.
You ain't at Tim?
I think when it comes to it, we had to keep continuing doing what we're doing. Even on Twitter, today's a mass tweeting of Restore the Snyderverse. And right now it's at 500,000. That's good. It's close to 1 million. A couple more hours maybe. But that shows a lot of stuff. And yeah, WB's keep saying, no, we're not going to do anything. And no, we don't want to show the numbers for how well the movie did. Because they know for a fact those numbers are going to be good. But yeah, we just had to continue. Yeah, Zack is obviously passionate about it. He wants to finish it. I know he does. And he keeps talking to the fans. He keeps going to the YouTube channels talking about it too, saying, I have all this stuff playing. We just had to wait and see. Like the man obviously cares. But yeah, we just had to keep continuing. Just tweeting about it. Just watching the movie. Don't cancel HBO Max. Keep watching the movie to show the numbers, even though they didn't want to show the numbers, to keep them rising and stuff like that.
Yeah. Me personally, I do think he would come back because, I mean, like you say, he had a storyboard for the second and third one. He had these ideas already out, so I don't see why he wouldn't come back. If it was me personally, I wouldn't trust anyone else with my baby. And I'd want to see him do it. I can't think of anyone else who could do as good a job as him. Like you say, it's just down to us. And just to address the comments, I know they're saying right now, at least the media are saying that they won't do anymore, and that's the end. That's it, done. He's got his spotlight. You know, they said that before when we originally wanted it, and see what happens. It's all about how much pressure we can put on the company, show how popular it is, show how much we want, and if they want to keep money, then they will eventually make it. Otherwise, eventually, if they just give us rubbish and don't give us what we want, they're just gonna lose the fans. And why do that? They want to keep the amount of fandom and the amount of money coming in, so it makes sense to give the fans what they want. I'm not saying give everything that the fans want, because some of our fans can be a little cuckoo. Just talking from experience. But at least give them some of what they want. Still, directors should be totally in charge. It should be their vision, but let them enact it. No corporate influence, no changes, just whatever Zack comes up with. And I hope this starts like a new trend, personally, because instead of just rebooting, I would like them, for them to go back and make changes like George Lucas does with his. He's always adding on and making changes to the original. Why can't they do that with other movies? If people didn't like the movie, go back, do it again, and release it again. Think of all the great old movies that could have been even better, or some of the really stinkers that had potential. Why not? A lot of it is down to the corporation decisions, and if they are in a hard enough position where they're up against the wall, they'll have no choice. It's either that or bankruptcy, and well, they don't want that. They want people to keep subscribed, and they want people to keep buying their merchandise and keep paying. So I think eventually it's only a matter of time that we will get it. And they're just testing the waters now, just to make sure that we do want that. That's what I think, personally.
Well, and speaking for myself, I want to
don't believe everything the media says. Most of it's rubbish. So
that's true.
Just because they say it's not happening doesn't mean it's not.
That's true. Speaking for myself, I came into the whole Snyder Cut movement late. I admit it. And I know some people may look at me and say, well, Ambassador, you're just riding a trend. No. I have been a fan of Zack Snyder long before I ever came to the internet. I've watched practically all of his movies. I have been a supporter of him long before I ever came to this thing called YouTube or came to Twitter or any place else. This just gave me the opportunity to vocalize my appreciation and my enthusiasm for his films. And I say this as a genuine and honest fan of Zack Snyder. I kind of, I'll pull this up because I actually put something together yesterday. Because I was at work. I had a few minutes, and I was like, I need to put this into thought and everything, put it on paper, so to speak. In my 42 years of life, I've seen some of the greatest pieces of cinema ever made. From DeMille's Ten Commandments to Kubrick's 2001. I watched Lucas bring his space epic to the world, and Jackson breathed life into the words of Tolkien. I've watched the MCU flourish and visualize the heroes and villains I read growing up. Then in 2013, I watched Man of Steel, a new take on the world's oldest superhero, and I walked away deeply impressed and inspired. This is the beginning of a world that has come to be known as the Snyderverse. Recently, I had the opportunity to watch Justice League, Zack Snyder's vision, of this legendary team. And again, walked away impressed. And I have this to say to the executives at AT&T and Warner Media. Lucas was able to complete his story. Jackson was able to complete his. Let Zack Snyder complete his vision. Let him take his place among these titans. Lucas, DeMille, Wells, Spielberg, Jackson, Hawke, and Kubrick. Restore the Snyderverse. Zack Snyder is not just a good and decent man, because he is, but he deserves to be remembered in the years to come as a man who was able to finish his vision, to bring his interpretation of this modern pantheon of heroes and villains to life. And I, for one, will do everything in my power to support that. Because in a world in which we live, where there is so much conflict and division and shouting and backbiting and everything else under the sun, Zack Snyder has created a place where we can all come together and realize a world where people from backgrounds both real and fictional can come together and work together and realize a dream. That, for me, is the great thing about Zack Snyder's Justice League. Is the reimagining of that ancient alliance that was shown in the history lesson. Because you had a visitor from the stars, you had a daughter of Themyscira, you had an Atlantean, and you had the races of men come together to defeat an ancient evil. And I think, with all candidness, this is a story that deserves to see its completion. But again, I'm just one man.
Clearly, you're not just one man, because just the fact that we made this happen shows there's a lot more than just one of us. And I agree 100%. It's not just the superhero films. Zack's did some great work. Not all of them has been great, but the Dawn of the Dead, 300, Watchmen. I know it wasn't a great success, but I preferred it way better than the TV show. Mm-hmm. So I did. Even Sucker Punch, again, the critics hated it. I loved it personally. I thought the cinematography, the story was really well done. It was just such. He's really artistic. He comes up with the great shots, and he's really good with the action scenes. But especially his work in the DCU has just been phenomenal. Yes. I haven't known any other film director who's done as much good stuff as he has. He doesn't hit out of the park all the time, but he's got some really good ideas. Yes. And I would love to see more of his mm-hmm. definitely. And I would think it would be a sin not to. It'd be a great loss, not just to Warner Brothers, but to us as a fandom.
Yes, I agree wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
All right. Well, gentlemen, thank you so much for joining me this afternoon. Great stream. And before we close out, I'm going to give you all an opportunity. Plug your channels, tell people where they can find you on social media and everything else, and then we will close out. Who's on first?
I guess I'll go first. I got my. Okay, so I'm in a unique situation. I did a reaction video for a Zack Snyder Justice League, and YouTube like totally took my channel down, and so it's under review. And I don't understand what's going on. But anyways, I created a second channel called Tim Possible. I posted the link in the private chat.
And it's going up now.
I appreciate it. Yeah. So I started the second channel. I also have another channel I do on Sundays at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. It's called the Snap Crew. Basically, we talk about like the main events, and then we have like pop-ins or whatever, just engage with the community. And then like follow me on Kylo_Tim1 on Instagram and Twitter. And those are my channels.
Okay. Eddie, you want to go next?
He's on mute.
Eddie, you're muted. You're muted.
Eddie.
Oh, my bad. Actually, I couldn't hear anything because of my earplugs ran out of battery, so I didn't hear anything of what you guys were saying for like 10 minutes. My bad.
Oh, it's okay, bud. No worries.
We were just plugging our channels, so
go ahead.
Go ahead and come up, man.
Go ahead and plug your channel to where they can find you online.
Yeah, you can find me at Oh My Diaz. That's all you have to look for on Twitter and on YouTube. That's all you have to look for. It's that simple. And yeah, I will plug in my thing right now.
Yeah, absolutely. By all means.
Mm-hmm.
Luke, you want to go ahead and plug your channel? Tell anybody where they can find you and what you've got coming up.
Yeah, so everything, Twitter, Instagram, YouTube, it's all just any world but ours. And so just search as it reads, and it's the same for all platforms.
Mm-hmm. And John, I heard a little birdie tell me, a little Scottish birdie tell me that you hit 100 subs and you're going to be doing something kind of big coming up. So
yes,
share with our audience.
Yes. Well, before I announce that, I would love. I'm going to be on another stream tomorrow for Justice for Johnny. I don't know. Do I have a wrench, my friend? Do you know?
No, but I can change that very easily.
Yeah, I'll put it here.
Give me 2 seconds. Literally.
Okay.
Hang on. There you go. Okay. Welcome to the mod squad.
Woo! I
don't abuse it. I will yank it out from underneath you if you abuse it.
But yes, I'm going to be on a lovely channel. I hope to see you there. We're going to be reviewing Public Enemies, a great film of Johnny Depp's. It's fantastic. A great gangster film. I'm even going to dress up for the part, so I hope for you all to come and join me. I just love to get into the films. I like to get into the roles, into the thought processes and stuff like that. And I just like to have fun. I'm crazy that way. But yes, personally, also, the ambassador is right. I am at over 100 subs now, and I have promised the people that I will do my first live stream ever, which will be this Monday. So keep an eye out on my channel. The channel is Big Daddy John Bamford. And you can also follow me on Twitter at BigDaddy29. And I'll just publish that now. Uno momento.
No, you're fine, bud. And again, I want to thank everybody who tuned in today. Thank you all for being here. I hope you all enjoyed the discussion. As always, make sure you smash that like button, share this out with your friends. And as I always like to say, if you come across this and you enjoyed it and you're not part of the ambassadorial wing, hit that subscribe button and become a part of this community. Because I may not be big, but at least I'm honest. Sorry, bad tagline. Very bad tagline. Just what you, coming up later this evening, I'll be back live, going live at 7 Central Time with my good friend Brian Hill, the Master of None. And we're going to be discussing why Marvel fans love the Snyderverse and the DC and vice versa. So hope to see you all for that one. And I will include the links to Eddie, to Tim, Luke, and John's channels down in the description. I'll have to go in and do that afterwards, but I will include those. So make sure that you check all of their channels out. And if you like what they do, smash that subscribe button. So that all being said, folks, you have a great afternoon or evening wherever you are at. And until next time, these are the ambassadors. Signing off.